How many of you have ever been to New Orleans? I've been twice. First time I was with 35,000 teenagers at the National Youth Gathering, so my primary goal was shepherding them from place to place and keeping them safe, I guess. Second time, and shielding, I guess, a little bit, but second time was the end of September, and Francis and I went. We rode the trolley over to the Garden District and walked one of the famous cemeteries. Went to Frenchman Street, which is a great place to hear live jazz. We did walk down Bourbon Street, so I had to kind of shield my eyes at times. Visited a museum where the Louisiana Purchase was signed, as well as the wonderful Hurricane Katrina Museum, which we kind of wish never existed. But of course, we visited Cafe Du Monde and had the 4,000-calorie beignets that everyone raves about. But the real reason we ultimately went to New Orleans was because of our friend Karen. Our friend Karen's son Ethan was getting married there. And so there was this beautiful service at a Jesuit church just a few blocks from the Superdome. And when the service concluded, we walked out. As we exited the rear doors of the church, I was handed a white handkerchief, and so was everyone else. And we walked outside, and as walked onto the sidewalk, I looked to my left was a police car with the lights already going, and looked straight ahead, and there was a little brass band there, and we hung out and talked to some of the guests for a little bit. Several minutes later, Ethan and Abby appear, and the crowd cheers. Ethan and Abby are both holding a white umbrella. They hoist it in the air. The band breaks into the epic song, Rock Around the Clock, which some of you know was by Bill Haley and the Comets. Some of us know as the Happy Days theme song, and the rest of you just play along with me. But the band follows the cop through the streets, and the couple walks alongside the band, who's playing festive music that just keeps going and going, and the rest of us follow. But the band and the couple are referred to as the first line, and those who follow are called the second line. And the second line has an important job. We walk behind the couple, and we form a dancing, whooping, cheering, handkerchief twirling, supporting community that catches the attention of everyone you pass by. And I did the Lutheran kind of twirl close to the chest, but it was still fun. But you know, what I noticed is you're really drawing people in as you go by, as people on the street stop and watch and cheer, and they take pictures, and it's just kind of cool. Because almost everyone at this wedding had come a great distance to be there. We were dressed in our finest, and we were all given this important role. We had a part, and our part was to spotlight this new relationship and celebrate this new connection and shine as much light as we could on it. And I think what was significant is we had a lot of fun doing that. We had a lot of fun doing our job for Abby and Ethan. What would have happened if the band didn't show up? What would have happened if the cop wasn't there to help? What would have happened if all of us had said, it's too hot, I'm going to call an Uber, and we're just going to take an Uber to the reception, or if we hadn't shown up at all? It would have been so radically different, and I think we would have all missed out on something so precious and so meaningful. You know, in Jesus' day, 2,000 years ago, couples didn't really date. Marriages were arranged and took place in two parts. Part one was a betrothal ceremony at the home of the father of the bride. The groom would present a marriage contract, a price he was willing to pay to marry this young lady, and perhaps he was agreeing to provide, certain goods or livestock or a certain number of jugs of olive oil, but they would agree on a price. And then the groom would depart, and the woman would stay in her father's house until the part two step occurred, which was about a year later. And that a year later, then she would move into to live with her husband. But it's this point of transition is the setting of the story Jesus tells today. There are 10 maidens who are waiting for this transition moment. The groom and the bride's father are probably finalizing the negotiations. We're not let into the conversation, but we're left to imagine. They're maybe counting the inventory, checking the quality, making sure that it is the exact amount they had agreed upon a year ago. But upon a final agreement, they probably would have shaken hands, that all is in order, and the wedding party would go in procession to the house of the groom, and a grand 7-day party would commence. What I need you to see is this procession was a key part of celebrating and honoring this new relationship, honoring this new connection, and it was a way of inviting other people in. There was no brass band. I kind of like to believe there might have been some sort of drum of sorts, but there is no doubt the first line included the bride and the groom and lamp bearers or torch bearers, people who accompanied the bride and groom the whole way. It was their job as lamp bearers to form a runway and shine a light on this new connection and invite other people to be part of the second line and to follow them all the way to the reception and ultimately to share in the incredible joy. If you were a lamp bearer, as the maidens were, you were supposed to have your wick ready and you were supposed to have enough oil on hand so that your lamp would shine incredibly brightly for this couple. As Jesus tells the story to his disciples, 10 were called to be lamp bearers. 5 of them bring extra oil. 5 just say, I'll deal with it. I'll take what I have on hand. The groom is delayed, perhaps by the negotiation, perhaps by a difficult father-in-law. Who knows? We'll leave that there. But the lamps have been burning for some time. The lamps have been burning for some time, and 5 of them realize their lights are going out. And so they say to the other 5, who the text says they're the wise ones, give us some of your oil. And their solution in their eyes is let's form a dim procession where we all have some light, but it's not too bright. And the 5 wise people say, ultimately, here's what's going to happen if we do that. If we do that, the oil is going to run out very quickly, and ultimately there will be no light whatsoever. There will be no procession. There will be no shining light on this new connection and this new relationship. And therefore, as we go, no one is going to be invited to join in the celebration. The 5 wise people hold firm. And what they ultimately say is, we absolutely must shine brightly. That is our call, to shine brightly. So you go and try and fetch some on your own, but it is our job and our joyous responsibility to shine brightly for this couple. Several weeks ago at the 11:30 service, Peter and Vicky sang a song called For Such a Time as This. And I do not remember what the words were. I don't remember even the tune of what it was. I just remember the sentiment of what was in that song. And in a sense, what I took from it is, in a world with things like devastating hurricanes, divisive rhetoric, where you see time and time again, people do not know the things that make for peace. We are people who are called to bring radical hope to this world. We are called to shine light on a much better story. We're called to invite other people into a relationship with Jesus and to a Christian community that's going to make a difference, and where you can connect and get to know other people in profound ways, where they can support you on the journey of faith. One of the things I would say, in 16 and a half years, I know that Good Shepherd, we are people that do not retreat. We always advance. We always advance. And we are called to serve in such a time as this. And I know our witness is going to shine brightly in 2018 and the years to come. The world does not need churches that are timid. The world needs churches that are bold and step out in faith. Ernie really summarized so much of what we're going to do in the days to come. We know the trajectory of the church at large is declining, but it's so important for us to be a beacon of hope and a catalyst and a sign of hope that in partnership with other churches to grant them hope as well. I think 300 new people in the next 3 years is exceedingly doable for us. We've already brought in more than 100 this year. We can just keep that pattern going. But simultaneously, it's all about connecting every single person to other people and making sure that you are growing in the faith and growing in the number of small groups we have. We want to bless other churches, especially churches that are starting up new expressions of ministry and reaching people who have no idea who Jesus really is. We've used that Lego connection piece that the kids understand, but we're all a source. We're all a source and have all of the ability to connect with other people and draw them in. What I need you to understand today is that we are all part of a wonderful procession, a wonderful and joyous procession, whether you call that first line or second line. It's all of our job to shine light brightly so that other people are drawn in and they experience the joy. What I need you to think about in the coming week is how will you shine your personal light on Jesus' work in the world and specifically in this place at Good Shepherd. Your time, your talent, and your resources are simply the way in which you help to shine light on what we do in this place. So think about what you're planning to commit financially to the 2018 ministry year and the above and beyond in support of the Building Connection campaign. I'm very confident that if each of us does our very, very best, and if each of us says, I simply will give in a sacrificial level that says, I want this church to shine brightly. If we all do our very best, there is no doubt that there will be some really incredibly exciting days to come. People will be drawn to the faith. People will notice. We'll be a source of hope for countless people. It's time for us to be incredibly bold and to step out in faith. Amen.